All right, today we're going to do lesson 6-7, dividing by a decimal. Aaron buys erasers for his pencils. Each eraser costs 20 cents. The total cost is $1.20. How many erasers does he buy? So we're dividing a decimal by a decimal. So you can use the model to help you figure that out, and you can shade in. If we have 20 cents, 10, 20, that would be 1. Then we have another 20 cents, and that would be 2, another 20 cents, 3, another 20 cents, 4, another 20 cents, 5, and another 20 cents, 6. So that would be $1, 20 cents. You can do it that way. If we're going to use the division of decimals and use our algorithm, basically what we're going to do is when you write out your division problem, you're going to multiply both sides by a number that will get rid of the decimal in your divisor. We want to get rid of the decimal there. So if we multiply 0.20 times 100, remember when we multiply, the decimal goes to the right, and by 100 it will go 2 places, so we'll wind up with 20. So if I multiply 0.20 times 100, I will get 20, and whatever I do to one side, I have to do to the other side. So I'm going to have to move the decimal 2 places here, so I wind up with this problem. 20 divided into 120 is 6. So this is where we're headed in this, to the end of this chapter. But you can also use a model if you want to on some of these easier problems. Okay. And as we move ahead, how can you divide a decimal by a decimal? So you can see what they did here in these using a model. They're doing some grouping here. So they want to see, they have 360. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. So we've got 360. And we want to figure out how many $20s can we get out of that. So what we're doing is we're trying to see, when we have $3.60, how many $20 bottles of something can we buy? So in this case, we're going to shade in $1.20, that was purple, another $1.20 orange, and another $1.20 pink. So that tells us we can shade in three different amounts there. And if you use, as we move ahead, I know this is moving you ahead, but I think it's a good idea to introduce it. So what I need to do is get rid of the decimal in the divisor. So in order to get rid of my decimal there, I'm going to have to multiply it by 100. Whatever I do to that side, I do to this side. So if I multiply this by 100, my decimal moves over and I wind up with 120. Multiply this by 100, divide it into 360. 120 goes into 360 3 times. So that's using the algorithm or using the model to help solve. And you remember, you can watch this video in your Savvis student portal. So, and in here they show you estimating. So we're saying we're rounding $3.60 to 4, $1.20 to 1. So our answer should be around 4. And they're showing you how to move the decimal. And in this case, they're multiplying it by 10 because they dropped the 0 in the hundreds place, but you just have to get rid of that decimal. So let's see what we got next. So when dividing by a decimal, why can you multiply the divisor and dividend by the same power of 10? Multiplying by the same power of 10, it does not change the quotient. It does not change your quotient. Let me change that color because that one's not always easy to see. What power of 10 would you multiply the dividend and divisor by to make this problem easier to divide? So we have 0.95 divided by 285. Now, I wish the book would give some different examples because I don't want you to think the decimal always winds up at the end of the dividend. But in order to get rid of it here, I'm going to multiply by 100 to move that decimal over 2 places. I have to multiply this by 100. So now I have 95 goes into 285. So I'm going to have to multiply it by 100 or 10 to the second power, 100, whatever you'd want to write in there. Find each quotient. So let's rewrite these. 0.05 dividing into 2. Now watch, this is where I said I wish the book had given some better examples here. So let me put this off to the side with a darker color. So in order to move the decimal, to get rid of the decimal in my divisor, I'm going to need to multiply it by 10. That moves it over one place. And I'm also going to have to multiply this side by 10. So I have to annex a 0, so I wind up with 5 goes into 20 4 times. The next one, 0.25 going into 1.25. In order to get rid of the decimal here, I'm multiplying by 100. I'll do that on both sides. I have 25 goes into 125. 5 times. Number 5, so that was number 3. Number 4. How about if I put number 5 over here? Number 5 is 0.7 divided into 2.1. I'm going to need to multiply this by 10 to get rid of that decimal in my divisor. So I wind up with 21 divided by 7, which equals 3. And number 6, 0.3 divided in 6. I'm going to have to multiply that by 10 to get rid of the decimal. So I wind up with 3 goes into 66, 22 times. Now you do not have to write all this times 10 thing. If you can remember to, I'm going to move the decimal one place, one tenth. I'm going to multiply 0.7 times 10. I need to multiply 2.1 times 10. And if you can remember to do that on both sides, you do not have to write all this, but it's just to help you keep track of what you're doing. And to move down a little bit more, just to tad more down the bottom here. So again, do number 7, 0.04 times, or 5, oh boy, 23.56 divided by 0.04. And I know I'm going to move the decimal. I'm going to multiply my dividend by 100 to get rid of the decimal. So I'm going to have to multiply my divisor by 100 and my dividend by 100. So I'm going to wind up with 423.56. I can just do normal division there. 4 goes into, on this you only actually have to write the power of 10 you would multiply and then write the equation. So you multiply this by 100, which is 10 to the second, and my equation would be 2, 3, 5, 6 divided by the whole number 4. This guy I'm going to need to multiply by 10 to get the decimal out of the way. So I'm going to be doing, get that little messiness out of there. I'm going to be doing 732 divided by 6. For number 9, I'll be multiplying by, again, 10 to get that out of the way. So I'm going to be doing 3 divided by 5. And I know I'm going to have a decimal there. And that one, I'm just going to be multiplying it by 10 or 10 to the first power. And for number 10, I need to move it 2 places, so that's 10 to the second power. So I'll have 273 divided by 78. And then as you move down, you can see most kids, like in middle school, they'll just kind of slide the decimal over and, put it where it belongs. Make sure they put it at the top. We're multiplying this one by 10 to the second power. The decimal will wind up here. This guy will be 10 to the second power. The decimal will wind up here. This one, you're multiplying it one place. The decimal will wind up there, and so on. Okay, have a great day.